Well, we did this very much as a book that's based, it's a teaching book. It's a reader for world history. And it grew out of our experience teaching here at Gettysburg. We were pretty much dissatisfied, or not totally dissatisfied, with other books that were already on the market. And so we put this book together with an idea of teaching more specialized world history classes like we do here at Gettysburg.
I came on board because my field, he's Europeanist, I'm Africanist, and our colleague is Asianist. So we put all our talents together to put this project. I think I was the first African historian on campus, you know. And to a point where we have reached now, I average about 25, 30 students a semester taking African history. And many of them go into fields perhaps that require some African background, African knowledge. So that's very satisfactory to me, you know, that they're interested in learning about learning African history. You know, I didn't start as a historian. You know, my original interest in studying was to become an agriculturist by early years. History only came to me when I came to the United States, and gradually became interested in it. I got interested in it because of sometimes I felt misrepresentation in the writing of African history, and I thought maybe I could do something good. I don't know if I've done, but I'm trying my level best.
You can't hit students over the head with material. You have to, education has to be an invitation, and you can give them multiple perspectives, and you don't require them to have, you know, a given outcome. They have to work towards that themselves, and I think that's, you know, history is a good field for that. It doesn't give you easy lessons, it gives you difficult lessons. You know, if you want to study something uplifting, it's not usually the past. The past gives you really difficult lessons to learn, whether it's Africa or Europe or anywhere else, really. So.
And a good thing about this book is that we've included materials written by Europeans, Asians, Africans, so students get perspectives from all angles. I mean, not only European-centered or Asian-centered or African-centered, but we've represented a real, true academic field.
Prospective students come and people ask, you know, where does history fit? And I always have one straightforward answer for them, because every spring I get to do what's called Get Acquainted Day around here, where all the prospective students come and we give them our spiel on, you know, why come to a liberal arts college and why come to Gettysburg. And I always tell them, well, there are 3 or 4 things to remember. First of all, there's really only one thing you can learn as an undergraduate, and that is to think critically, to read critically, to speak critically. And that's what you do at a liberal arts college. Being able to think is what's going to carry you through as you move forward. You can't predict where you're going to be in 5 years or 10 years or even 20 years, but hopefully you're given the kind of skills from a liberal arts school that allow you to succeed no matter where you're going to be. Sure. And we think of history as being one of the core disciplines for teaching exactly in that mode.
Yeah, this book was a perfect book for me because as a student of history, I was amazed when I read about early African history. There were no African representation, especially 18th, 19th century, because there were few African authors. Europeans didn't have to get any proof of what they're writing about Africa. But this book, fortunately, and I think our students are very fortunate, they're getting a lot of point of views that are expressed by Africans themselves. Africans have now acquired the art of writing their own history. So now they can provide their own interpretation of what African history was about. Prior to that, everything was written for and on behalf of Europeans about Africa.
We're actually developing a summer institute here at Gettysburg College for the teaching of world history. So we started teaching world history ourselves. We've produced this book, and now the history department, with help from the college and from people outside, we're going to start a week-long institute on the teaching of world history to help people. Because when you're handed this course, it's really daunting. We wanted to write a text that would work for us in the classroom. It took us probably the better part of 3 years to do that, working together. And then now we have the text, we can actually use that textbook in our own classes here at Gettysburg, which we have done and we will do in the future. So it's a book that grew out of a teaching question, became then a research project, a collaborative research project, and then it's gone back, literally has gone back into the classroom here at Gettysburg, and we're hoping it's going to go back into the classroom, lots of different places.
One colleague of mine asked me, are you trying to replace Western Civ with this book? And my answer was no, which was simply complementing what Western Civ does. So this book, I think, is good in that regard. You know, it's trying to identify part of the world that should be included that have been excluded in Western Civ courses in terms of good contribution to the study of history.